Okay, hello men. Hello Mgtows. Today we're going to be just chatting, throwing things around, seeing what happens, taking things places. Today I kind of scheduled the Simp Reclamation project. We see men moving backwards in Mgtow. We see men moving the wrong way. They're moving out. They're taking their utility, anything they've discovered, and they're taking it back out to the matrix and finding themselves with a woman and sharing that with them instead of sticking around. Uh, Simps, manginas, they're always going to act the same way. When people come in Mgtow, we find they come in with a ball of fire, angry. Uh, they come in passionate about Mgtow and slowly convince themselves over a year period, 8 months, 9 months period that Mgtow is not for them. But after they have learned certain techniques in Mgtow, they take them out and they're better for it. But on the way out the door a lot, they give us the finger, tell us to fuck off, and tell us we provided nothing for them. How do you guys feel about that?
Mm. You want to go first, Zita, or shall I?
Well, I've always believed, Joe, and good morning, good afternoon, everyone out there. In our regular Sunday throwdown. Joe, I firmly believe that there's a natural weeding out process for guys like that. Okay, they're going to go their own way. Let them throw the finger at us. That's fine. You know what? All it takes is for something to happen, and then they'll come back crawling with their tail between their legs.
Yeah, they'll need some maintenance then, huh?
And I think we touched base in a loose conversation, Joe. I really think that that's what guys need to do sometimes. Sometimes they need to go, just like like a drug addict and alcoholic. You need to go back out there, get out there, okay? But if you're going to break your loyalties in the process and call us a bunch of dickheads and assholes, well, don't expect much back in return. But if you do come back and you've got something to share and you've got one hell of a lesson that's really what we're after here. That's my take on that, Joe. Shiny?
Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for that intro, Joe, and thanks for that, Zita. It's a thing, isn't it? It's a thing that's because the thing is, sometimes some of these channels that close down tell us to fuck off on the way out. They pick up quite a few friends on the way, and we sort of allow them into our heart. So it can sort of feel personal sometimes. But the entire issue of moving forward, I mean that's basically what they're saying. We won't name any channels, but normally when channels they close down, they're always closing down in the name of moving forward, over that red pill rage, which, by the way, I don't think there's any such thing as red pill rage. And then they're talking about how Mgtow is stagnant and how Mgtow needs to move on. I think there's two stages I'd like to address on that one. First of all, what do you mean by Mgtow is stagnant? I mean, they accuse us of speaking only about women, but I've asked the question: which channel is only speaking about women? Name me one channel. I challenge anyone out there. Apart from Sexy Mgtow, he's the exception. Every single Mgtow channel talks about multiple things. They talk about their physical health, their mental health, their past experiences, and sometimes they talk about their hobbies. And I think every single Mgtow channel is very, very diverse. And we're always discussing and developing our ideology. We're always talking about past videos, our current situation, and the end game and what we'd like to see. No, I think that the last thing Mgtow is stagnant. I'm like asking myself, what channels, what videos are these guys watching? And of course, the second issue is, where do you want to go? It's like, what do you want Mgtow? What is your interpretation of moving forward? I mean, generally, what we've seen is people, they want the PUA side to sort of like merge in with Mgtow. It's like moving forward is somehow learning how to date women, or learning how to fuck more women. I mean, if that's what you think moving forward is, then obviously everything we're talking about is going to be distasteful. So your interpretation of moving forward, that's what we're trying to run away from. We don't see that as moving forward. And if you think moving forward, I mean, we came across a few weird Mgtow Facebook groups. We came across a few weird Mgtow Google Plus groups. I mean, these guys are saying, Mgtow moving forward is everyone becoming gay. Yes.
Yeah.
There's a group of Mgtow that thinks moving forward is everyone becoming gay. And then there's another one. We have to show these guys something. It's unbelievable. There's this Facebook Mgtow group that says moving forward is having anyone either married or women or anything all into Mgtow. And have a look at this Facebook group. They've got half of them are women. Half of them are women. There's a big portion of married men. And what do you mean by moving forward? This is the issue.
We looked at that yesterday with the gay Nazi guy, and it was like, wow, this is not a Mgtow group, and these are the people that are coming around. And sometimes, Zeta put it quite nicely, and it's the what next. It's what did you call it?
It's the Stardust effect. Okay.
The Stardust effect.
Yeah, I coined that after Nico and Dark Knight's hangout there. Because it's reminiscent. It just seems, guys. It goes back to Stardust's revelation. Remember a year, 2 years ago? Okay, that's it. It seems that Mgtow's just come to this brick wall here, and we can't seem to get past it. This is like Mgtow 101. We know everything there is to know about women, okay? And there just doesn't seem to be a level 201. It's not, like university. Now, it seems to be with these guys who are used to being in an academic environment. Okay, that's where I coined it. The Stardust effect.
Is a good analogy, definitely. I think.
It's more of the observation shining, okay, and I think that's what happened with Friday's hangout with with Dark Knight and Nico there. These guys are used to being academic, okay, and and that's it. They've gotten to this brick wall, right? But the thing is, Joe and I discussed yesterday. I mean, this hoop is it's huge. Mgtow is just, the talk about women, okay, that we have. That we do, and obviously we spend a lot of time. Once we get past that, we're opening up another gateway. It becomes a very small, topic after a while.
I know. I mean, I don't agree with the accusation that Mgtow only talk about women at all. I mean, the thing is, we are an ongoing group. We're an ongoing community, and normally the people that focus on the nature of women, these are normally the guys that are newly come in, obviously the guys that have been here for a while, they want to talk about other stuff and discuss other stuff, but no channel's just talking about women. I mean, this is normally people that have just come in, and we facilitate those guys. I mean, these are the guys that are raw, these are the guys that probably need us the most, and need need this healing the most. And this issue that we can't talk about women anymore. It's always going to be relevant. Hypergamy, Gynocentrism. It's always going to be relevant in Mgtow, and the reason why we focus on it is because nobody else is talking about it. Mm-hmm. You can't complain that Mgtow talking about it. Because this is why people come here. They don't come here to watch mechanics and engineering and talking about stocks. There's hundreds and thousands of other channels that do that. They come to Mgtow because we talk about men's stuff. Now, if you want to do an engineering video, you go ahead. Nobody is stopping you from doing that. But for you to say, oh well, Mgtow's backwards now because no one's doing stuff about mechanics and medicine or stuff like that. Yeah, if you want to do it, no one's saying you can't. But to say, oh, Mgtow's stagnant because we don't do that, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's called Gynocentrism for a reason. The biggest complaint we have is Gynocentrism. Sometimes these guys, moving forward to them, they move up to this precipice, this cliff that they're looking over, these beautiful mountains they've gotten to. Their life is good, and then they turn around and they want to walk back to town.
And they say that's moving forward.
Yeah.
Guys, we were there. We've been there. You're talking to guys that I've been where you're telling us to go. You know, what you're saying moving forward is, you know, we've been there, and you know, for us, that's not moving forward.
Oh, no, I wanna traverse that mountain. I wanna that's moving forward for me. Just you know, having happiness and joy in my life and moving from place to place in this world and not getting hemmed up anymore. And we all know it hems us up. It's gynocentrism. Uh,
Yeah,
but
yeah. This. Yes. Sorry, you go ahead.
around here, that's what we talk about. If you're sick of that, I think it's a time for a self-introspection of oneself, and you know, do those equations and see where your bars are lining up, and see if there's a problem that they have, rather than projecting that. And this is what I find, that some of these producers, they project and say that there's something wrong with some MGTOW's lives, that they're not happy, they're not fulfilled, and that I can't see through this screen. I don't know if their lives are fulfilled. I don't know what's going on the other side of their lives. Most of the time, I see really good going, happy guys that just want to go fishing and do some things, or go to the bar and have a few beers, and just not have to deal with that gynocentrism. But the stories we hear, and that's the you got to put you got to put a stop on it right there. The stories we hear coming in are laughable, because they're telling stories about, hey, this girl in the bar walked up to me and she just went right to it, trying to extract my utility. And we think that that's funny to us, you know, because we know the other side. But not talking about it, we just become blue pillars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, we've got a question here from HD Failure. The chat room's filling up right now.
Okay.
So HD Failure's got a question for the panel. I always hated the idea of community, perhaps because I never had that cultural influence in Portugal. Is the constant push for a community destroying the very essence of Mgtow?
Okay, we're getting some feedback there, Zeta.
Is it? Hang on.
Is that? I think. Is that Joe? Is that you feed?
Let me just go into my controls
Not
here.
plugged in. Yeah, I'm sorry. That might be me. I forgot to put my headsets on.
Oh.
Well, I'm trying to understand. Okay, we still got some. Let's get the
How's
audio
that?
sorted out, guys. Yeah, I'm trying to understand these guys. I'm trying to understand, you know, what problem. First of all, what problem they're seeing in Mgtow, and then I'm trying to see exactly what their answer is. You know, the Stardust effect is a perfect analogy, because personally, I'm thinking these guys are just hanging about with the wrong people. And you know, HD's question about the community, we are all part of a community, whether we interact with that community or not. You know, the place where we live, our neighborhood, our demographic, you know, our background, we are all clumped together, whether or not we interact or we involve ourselves in the community is a whole nother thing. The fact is, the Mgtow is a community, whether you like it or not. We are the community. You know, we associate with each other based upon the sickness that we see and experience around us that is caused by gynocentrism, and this is what unites us.
Yeah, exactly. How can you, anytime a group of people, if we go to the Webster's dictionary definition of community, it's going to tell you pretty much a group of people that group together and have a common interest.
But you see, why do some individuals see it necessary to announce a big old fuck you before they leave? You know, why do they want to bring everybody? You know, why do they want to bring the entire label down? I mean, we've seen it before. It happens every now and again. You know, there's this accusation that, you know, Mgtow is full of perverts, or it's full of, you know, racists, or it's full of pedophiles, or it's full of you know, one thing or another. And the fact is, I'm saying, you know, who are you talking to? You know, what company are you keeping to have this opinion of Mgtow? Because I don't see that. You know, my circles, my group, they're nothing like what any of you have described when you're trying to bring Mgtow down.
Right, yeah, that's we looked at them couple of groups, and we've seen man, these SJW warrior groups that come in here and they give the snarky comments. We track them down, and we often find that these people are a bunch of moral degenerates.
I know we've seen that. I mean, there are some guys generally, guys on the internet. They generally, we all agree that freedom of speech is a good thing. So hence, what happens? Our ears are open to everybody. So anybody who wants to say something, they say it, and we listen to them. But quite often, I mean, there's been this hint of infiltrators and things like this.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid to say that there does seem to be some evidence backed by that. I mean, these guys that are saying you have to be, moving forward for Mgtow as being gay, or moving forward for Mgtow. There's that guy who says that, there's that group that says all Mgtow needs to be atheist, and then this guy himself is a Satanist. He worships Satan. And then there's the same group as well. You can go to their Facebook website, and they've got this list of targets, and one of their targets is to make suicide seem funny. We need to link these guys, but we shouldn't be taking these guys serious, first of all, and second of all, if you think this is what Mgtow is, you're sadly talking to the wrong group. I mean, if you're talking to guys thinking, oh, Mgtow's well fucked up, I need to get out of it, and when I'm getting out of it, I'm going to tell everyone exactly why I'm doing it, and I'm going to throw everybody that ever used the label Mgtow under the bus, and this is what they do.
Right, yeah.
Well, here's what James Denton has to say in the chat room. Well, we need to continue talking about gynocentrism because, 1, if we stop, we will begin to forget. 2, if information is not rephrased and re-explained as new information becomes available, it will. And that pretty much sums it.
Yeah, that's a brilliant point. And the fact is, we all come from very different backgrounds. We all come from all over the world, all over the English-speaking world, and quite often one individual will be able to explain it much better to his or own demographic. That's just a fact.
That's true, and and pretty soon, I mean, we already we're seeing a presence right now of Latin Mgtows, both in Spanish and Portuguese content. I think I spotted in Brazil from one guy, Knowledge of Light, who's done some work with the narcissist, with narcissism, right? He's done some brilliant work there, highly recommended. He's just been changing his avatar name a few times, right, for security purposes, but he's got some interesting content. So yeah, making it accessible and getting the lingo down, okay, so that it is accommodating the Latin countries. I'm doing some mini research. I'm finding an interesting video I saw from a French and a Brazilian lady, which I'm getting translated right now. Joe, you asked about this. Yeah. So that's in the works right now. I'm sure.
I'm really interested.
Yeah, some of our guys Brazilian. In the Brazilian and Portuguese sector, can also offer some assistance there. So yeah, you're right, Shining. We need to expand this and make the information readily available, right? And pretty soon it's gonna happen in all these different languages, Portuguese included.
Yeah. Is this phenomenon we're seeing? Is this like waiting on the next Bobby Fischer, the next Barbarossa, the next Stardust to come around, and what they say when they say what's next? Are they just waiting on some entertainment like that, like that next brilliant mind to come on and articulate us in the 2.0? Is that what we're waiting on?
You know what? It's we've got everything in the works, that could spark something like that. Could spark a guy that come out and be the next Barbarossa, be the next Stardust, or what have you.
Personally speaking, I think there's some fantastic channels. There's some great individuals there. I think we've gone a long way in Mgtow. I mean, from the beginning when Mgtow first appeared on YouTube, we had very few channels that were articulate enough to embrace the English-speaking population as a whole. But I think these days there's so many good channels, there's so many good content producers that the bar has been raised so high that the next groundbreaking channels has to be something special. And I think some of these guys that are disillusioned with Mgtow, I think it comes from two things. Number one, they have an expectation that Mgtow needs to go where they're heading, and they've got, like you said, it's always this academic these guys that think that they're better educated than everyone else, or that they're of a higher academic standard. And secondly, it's these guys that are very they're quite elitist. You know, they see themselves as much better than everybody else. So obviously, their arrogance in thinking, well, you know, Mgtow's all screwed up. You know, it's not as good, or it's not as good as it should be. It's not going where it should be, because they think everybody else is beneath them.
What is that? The English use the word plebes. They think everybody are plebes.
Yeah. James Denton has a good response here. Personally, I see this as follows. Red pill is the knowledge base, the information repository. Once you consume it, absorb it, if you absorb it if some can't, if you then make a choice about your path.
Yeah.
That sums it up.
We all have individual paths. Your path. We talked about this yesterday. You know, you do what you do in life, and you have a very stable path. And Shining does what he does in life, and he has a very stable path. And I do what I do in life, but they're all three different. I'm an electrician, and that's what I do. I can relate better into that. You know, if men want to talk that someday, that's fine. You know, I don't really talk it a lot on here. I don't, you know, go from logic gates and 1 to 0s and 0s to 1 and logic. I can apply that to Mgtow. I can apply that 1s and 0s when someone says a fallacy. I automatically know a fallacy because that's what I do in life. That's my designation.
And the question is, you know, why should you need to? I mean, yeah, it's nice to have that background, but why do people feel the need to talk about things like that? I mean, the fact is, if you started doing it, I would
lose people, wouldn't I?
Yeah, exactly. People wouldn't go. You know, people they watch you, Joe. They go to your channel not because you're an electrician, because you talk about Mgtow, you talk about men's issues, you talk about the Gynocentrism, you talk about the toxicity of women. I mean, if I started talking about my work, my channel's not that big, but it'd be even smaller. You know, people, they don't come to us because we talk about work, or we talk about our hobbies. And if you want to do that. Nobody's saying you
nobody's
can't.
saying you can't. But there's a problem with the pseudo-intellectualism, because that is some people's designated work. If you're a doctor and you want to come to, you're bringing work to the hangout. You know, you're bringing your work to Mgtow. If you're a biologist,
it's weird. You know, I've been on hangouts, and I've cut away from those guys. It's like I've been on so-called Mgtow hangouts, and the first thing they say to you when you come on, oh, don't talk about Mgtow. So what the hell? What makes it about Mgtow then? These idiots. It's like, oh, you know, don't talk about Mgtow, don't talk about women. You know, don't. Oh, honestly, it's like these guys. There's this like disease that's hanging about with them. It's like they're trying to make a Mgtow taboo. You know, it's like they run in these circles where now moving on.
Right, now moving on. Yeah.
Moving on is now. Yeah. Go on.
You look at what the social justice warrior does. We talked about this, I think, yesterday. And the social justice warrior, he never comes to Mgtow as a social justice warrior. He disguises himself in a mask of Mgtow. He pretends like he's a Mgtow, and then he tries to nail it back, and he tries to make Mgtow into social justice, and it's not social justice. We are exclusive here.
What the hell are these guys here for? You know, they're here to try and like tone us all down. It's like, don't say that about women. You know, don't talk about women like that.
Right.
And then now it's, oh, don't talk about women at all. What the fuck, guys? Why are you here?
Why are we here? This is the place to talk about Gynocentrism.
And talk about all that shit. You know, all that shit that other channels don't talk about.
Yeah. There's 25 hit points, I think, in Mgtow that we need to talk about constantly, because the world's not getting it. The world's letting them, it's running over men. It's knocking the tops off of men. It's leaving men with holes in them. It's leaving men in suicidal conditions where they ruminate all 24/7 about suicide. You know, the one-room apartments that we live in, or we lived in our lives, and you having half your, you know, when you have half your income taken from you, you don't have money to go out there and do things. This may be your only joy in life.
That's a very good point. It's a brilliant point. And the fact is, you know, what we're talking about is very serious. It's
Yes.
very serious. You know, that men are in a very, very dark place at the moment. Men in the West are in. We're fucked. We are so fucked, and nobody's helping us. Nobody's doing anything for us, and all we've got are our own thoughts, our own discussions. You know, you talk about suicide, and that's exactly where men are being driven to at the moment. And this Facebook group. I need to do a video about this Facebook group. One of their top priorities was to trivialize suicide. Now,
yeah, wow.
exactly, and I think for some of these younger guys, you know, for some of these young guys coming into Mgtow, I think it can be a very depressing subject for them. I mean, I can understand this issue of burnout. Yes, you know, they've heard all these like horror stories of men getting trounced and trashed by the system, by women, and I'm sure they find it hard to believe. I know Messenger said to me, they must think we're lying. It's like when we tell them this is what happened to us in court, this is what happened to us in the police station, they must think we're lying, because these guys then turn around and say, oh, you know, let's not talk about women anymore. Let's talk about you know, fixing bikes and gardening and you know, making money. You know, these guys, they've just come out of prison. These guys, they've got a rope hanging from their ceiling, but because they're one step away from killing themselves. They've got like a loaded gun, you know, pressed against their head, and you're telling them, you know, to talk about fixing bikes or you know, doing stocks and the things. I think for the younger guys, it's difficult for them to hear because they don't want to believe life is so shitty. I think that's what it is. They can't believe it.
Yeah, plausible deniability.
Yeah. When I told the story about, you know, once I was locked in cuffs and thrown in the back of a police station for what? You ask me for what, Joe? I was locked in cuffs and thrown in the back of a police station for taking blows from a woman.
Yeah, and
for being hit by a woman, and when I complained about it, they put me in handcuffs. That's the shit that goes on out there.
And this, for men, this is a reality. We can't do anything. You know, you can't have anything to do with women because upsetting them is a crime. Upsetting them is a criminal.
Oh, I live in a city, the Mgtow capital, where the majority of men, they don't even watch this, but if you watch a guy go down the street, they're afraid to look at women, okay? There seems to be an unwanted rule in the city I live in, that you do not glance at a woman for more than half a second because she could get you into trouble. You know, creep her out, right?
We're supposed to move to the other side of the street because she feels uncomfortable.
Exactly.
We're supposed to, you know, rearrange our life, not go to the coffee shop on that side of the street because there's a woman there. You know,
that's right.
Bullshit, you know. The whole society's gone nuts, and we're the guys saying it. Now they want to tone us down? They want us not to talk about women? Fuck that. Fuck that.
Messenger just made a video. He's called it the Invincibility complex or something, where I think a lot of young guys, they suffer from this. They think, oh well, even if, you know, Joe and Shining and Zeta, if they're talking about this, I'll be all right. You know, I'll be able to, you know, to engage with this woman. I'll be able to date with her. I can fuck around with her. I'm fine, you know. They're not going to throw me in prison. Even if they throw me in prison, I'm going to be fine. I know what to do. I can handle myself. Or if I go to court, or if she gets pregnant, and they've got this. They do have this invincibility complex. They think they're going to be a-okay. They think that, you know, even if they do believe us, they think, well, not me, or I'm going to be fine, or I'm going to be able to handle it. And I think it's a coping mechanism. I think it's like, you know, the old saying, putting on rose-tinted glasses. I mean, the world looks much better if you have plausible deniability and just think, you know, I'm going to be fine. You know, this shit is not going to happen to me. And then, of course, you get us coming along and saying, oh, watch out, women are going to fuck you up. You know, the white knight police, they're going to fuck you up. They're thinking, shut up about that. I've heard about that. Stop telling me about that. You know, I'm going to listen to this this guy tell me how being gay is so liberating. I'm going to listen to how this guy tell me about his Satan's Bible, and I'm going to listen to this guy tell me about how gore is funny. This is what we got.
Yeah, yeah, it's disturbing. It's walking backwards out of Mgtow, and then we get these people that gladly help men, walk back into that situation, and that's what they want for us. That's always what they wanted for us, not to exit the matrix, plug yourself in, be the battery, be the battery. There's always that around there. Wow, it just gets so sometimes annoying around here. There are certain things in Mgtow. There are certain presuppositions to be in Mgtow. When I say no dating, no like that, what I mean is no rituals that read up to dating. It's okay to have a friend, but we don't talk about that friend on Mgtow because we have an etiquette around here. Because we have
excuse me.
Yeah, we have an etiquette that we do not break. But we got these guys coming around now. Oh, I got this girlfriend, and she says, "Oh, damn, you just broke that etiquette." She says, I don't care what somebody's bitch says. I don't care what somebody's wife says.
Yeah, we're not trying to control anybody's life out here. We're not telling anyone how to live their life. If you've got all these friends, if you've got this sort of like purple pill lifestyle, or what we call it, or if you've got a blue pill friend, or you're just here to listen to our stuff, we're not telling you to stop that and to change it. But for you to tell us we have to change it, we have to go purple pill, we need to include women in, or we need to act a certain way. No, we came here to Mgtow. Everyone came to Mgtow for a very specific reason. They wanted to understand what the fuck is going on out here. They wanted somebody to tell them, getting abused because you're a man is not right. Getting your rights taken as a man, as a father, as a husband, as a boyfriend, or as any male role, it's not right. It's not right. If you haven't done anything wrong, guys, you don't take any blame for that. There's some guys saying, oh, when you try and tell people to take responsibility, guys, we haven't done anything wrong. Yeah, I've heard that there's men that beat their women. I've heard that there's abusive men, but that's not us. That's not us. No, that's not Mgtow. Mgtow are not men, are not a collective group of men that beat women.
No, we don't do those things around here. There is an etiquette around here. It's proper. There's just some things that, as a male, that are proper.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about those proper things, but we try not to breach them. When you hear some guy saying, I'm not going to stick my thing in that filthy, she's been with 200 guys. That's saying he's a proper male and he would never do that. Being with a whore or a slut or being a pussy beggar. We all know being pussy beggars is not proper behavior. Well, why don't we start talking about what is proper behavior around here? What is the etiquette of being a Mgtow?
Exactly.
Well, we touched base on this last night, Joe. The etiquette here in our room is it's all about serving the truth. That's really what we're doing. And in order to serve the truth properly, there's a certain etiquette that goes with it.
Yeah.
Right? And that's really where we're based on. If we're going to be like a free for all and go full tilt like we did 3 Sundays ago or 2 Sundays ago, where we get hijacked, and let's face it, we survived that. Okay, we took a bit of a blow, a bit of a hit, so that goes to show for some of the integrity that we have. But to conduct something properly, there is a certain etiquette that goes with it, okay? And there is a proper procedure for debating properly, which is also an avenue of what we're doing here, guys, And like I said, I'm willing to open up another session if there are 2 Mgtows who need to hammer something out and claw at each other. There's a proper procedure to do that, right? Again, serving the truth.
Serving the truth, yeah. Yeah, as we go through this life as men, we don't want to be looked at as these perverts or these pedophiles, these guys, these pussy beggars. We want to be looked at like real men, like we're statues, and most of us are statues of strength. And
furthermore, Joe, some of us guys are already showing signs to the outside world, and namely women. It's like, you walk through, because they've got the awakening, they've got the confidence already. They're emanating that now. people are going to pick up. Women will definitely pick up on the Mgtow presence, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's very empowering, man. You know, and I don't want to use these feminist terms, empowering, but no, it's there. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
it does teach your character, man.
Let me get back to that. We're recycling simps thing and how I see this. Wait, who is it? TFM, a great Mgtow, and he's one of those guys that transcended. What am I doing next? And he just keeps his channel going, and he says really great stuff. And we had a conversation on there yesterday about reclamation simp projects, and when we do this, we take these guys and we fix them, and then what they do when they're taking what a utility that they learned in Mgtow, and they're bringing it back to women, and women have figured out that if they want their Mgtows are very attractive to women.
Yes.
And what women have figured out now is that if I can get my guy that start acting Mgtow, he'll be a better provider. And these simps take that back out to him, and it undercuts and destroys what we're doing here.
You know what? It's actually Mgtow is the ultimate PUA strategy if you think about it, right? Once you really study the persona of a Mgtow, of an enlightened Mgtow, women are gonna fucking cream all over that, man. But you're right, Joe. You know, is he gonna take that and you know, and use it as a PUA tactic? You know what I say? I say, yeah, go ahead until you get fucking burned.
Yeah, until you get burned.
Welcome back with the tail between your legs. Okay. Now, what did you learn from it?
What did you learn from it? Right? Yeah. Women can smell a utility. You know, they got a certain sense about that. If you get yourself fixed, you come in here. We're like mountaintops that got our mountains knocked off. Men are these huge Goliath monuments, and then somebody came in and it's like a coal company coming in and knocking down the mountain, and they say, well, what Mgtow does, we plant a few trees and we get it back to looking good.
Yeah.
And then okay, now somebody comes in and remines that same mountain and makes it look like and then okay, we got to do it again. No, we're not doing these reclamation. We do the reclamation projects not so men can take it back out to the. And we heard this with Neo. He's trolling around the blue pill and we heard that with a few other Mgtows that's the only thing there is. That town is the only place to go back to. No, it's not. There's a new discovery in Mgtow, and take what you got now and use it for yourself. Don't take it back to the matrix to get your utility tapped again, so you can find out the same thing happens over and over and over again. It's that recidivism in life. We see guys that got married 3 times and still sit there and tell you lost 3 houses, lost all their wealth for the 3rd time, and going to tell you, hey, I'm looking for another one. Yeah, boy, that's retarded. No, part of Mgtow should be saying, no, don't do that again. Do you understand that? Don't do that again. Keep your wealth. Keep that happiness. Keep that joy. Don't share it with the gynocentric. It's okay to have a friend, but that's it. A friend isn't a ritual to dating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally think the value of Mgtow and something that we can't get from anywhere else is that we want to be men as men have always been. We want to be masculine men as opposed to feminine men, as opposed to men that have been molded by the society, by government, to worship the pussy and just do whatever it takes to please everybody else except us. And I think that's what is killing us. You know, as men, we don't want this anymore. We want, first of all, it's been going on for so long. We've forgotten how to be, you know, we've forgotten, you know, this masculine etiquette. We've forgotten how to be gentlemen. It's now taboo to be a man's man. You know, it's like, oh, you know, you know, it's been called what's the word now? Misogynistic and stuff like that.
Misogynistic, yeah.
You know, this is how men are. You know, men have a role, women have a role. You know, there's a natural, organic way to things.
Yeah, and I'm a firm believer of that too, Shining. You know, a man has a place in this world, so does a woman. Sorry to say that. But no, I'm not sorry. That's just the way it is.
Right. Yeah, it's just the way it is, right?
It's the way it is.
What's that example of that guy you gave, Zeta, that had his penis deformed at birth, and they tried to make him into a woman, and at the end he ended up killing himself and committing
Yeah,
suicide?
that was a Canadian twin. Okay, that happened back in the 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a dig, but yeah, gee, who was it? I think it was
Laws Horizon.
Laws Horizon's video. You know
Yeah.
that put
He
that
was
up.
right on his point there that you
Yeah,
can't make a man into something else because it rubs against the grain of being a man. And at the end, all he has is the thought of suicide.
yeah,
Man, embrace men, embrace being a man. There's nothing better in this world than having that strength and that power and that whatever they call it and whatever they hate, embrace that and give that back to them
yeah.
because that's being a man.
Hmm.
Because we can't be anything else. You
Yeah,
know,
we
we
can't
can't.
be anything else.
When they try to make us into something other than what we naturally are, that's when things go wrong. You know, that's when we don't function properly. We're not at our optimum. We're not mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally at our best. And this is what I see going on wrong in the West. And I think Mgtow is the only voice, is the only refuge men have where we talk like this, where we discuss this stuff. You know, it's all that there is left. And you know, I'm open to talk about to discuss any arguments. You know, if you say, well, you know, it's not like this, it should be like this. Well, let's talk about it. You know, let's not pussy about and start
Hmm.
making little digs at each other. You know, this guy makes a video against this guy, and then it's like a back and forth. I mean, you know, let's talk about it like men. Come on,
And
hang out.
we've
Let's
been
talk
doing
about
that.
men.
Yeah, and we've been doing that for every Sunday now here. You know, since March. You know, we've got a tradition going on here, gents. You know.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
do.
you know, we only got 13 guys right now in the chat room. So what? You know, these are guys that are regular. These are guys that are showing up. They might not be listening to us while busy in chat, but you know, they're here. They're here hammering it out.
Ah, they'll watch it. This is the last refuge for men.
That's it.
If they don't have Joe's Sunday podcast, what else are they going to watch? You're going to watch
You know.
PewDiePie.
Yeah,
PewDiePie,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, you
So
can
yeah,
dress
I mean, you're
dressing up
right.
like costumes and cosplay and then PewDiePie.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's plenty of gardening channels, you know, money channels and advice on how to, you know, so do it yourself and things like this. But there's, you know, there's a huge drought when it comes to MGTOW oriented or men, masculine men, and the problems and the issues that they face in modern Western society. That, you know, there is a big drought, and you know, you mentioned, you know, when's the next Barbarossa going to come on? We're talking about that because you know, that's what people are looking for. They're looking for the next masculine man who's going to spell it out, who's going to say it as it is. He's not going to be afraid of becoming unpopular. He's not going to be afraid of, you know, getting his channel taken down or getting flagged or you know, being accused of being misogynistic. No, because there's a big drought now. Everyone's looking for this hero. Everyone's waiting for this leader,
Yeah,
this
who's the
MGTOW
popular
leader.
guy?
Yeah, we're waiting for Bobby Fischer, you know,
Yeah, waiting for Bobby Fischer.
Who's Bobby Fischer?
the chess player
Mhm.
that beat the computer, I think he did, or beat the Russian chess player. He was the best of the best. He was it. He was and then he just disappeared off the face of the earth. He went cult. And he went MGTOW, and then everybody's like, "Oh, we're waiting for Bobby Fischer." I think that's what we're doing now. We're just waiting for Bobby Fischer now.
Yeah, and in the meantime, we're gonna do our own videos. We're gonna do our own misogynistic videos. Fuck them. We're gonna tell it. We're gonna tell it, even if they don't want to hear it. You know, because you know, we've suffered enough. We've suffered enough,
Yeah, we're
and we
carrying the
know.
torch, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's other men they need to hear this. They need to hear it. Yeah, I know that there's these guys, you know, and it's always the younger guys, and it's always the younger so-called pseudo intellectuals. They get burnt out. It's like, oh, we don't want to hear about this stuff.
Yeah, yeah. That they get, and it is always that okay, we're going to talk about what is that, social sciences, and it gets hijacked by social sciences, and we're doing that reciprocal thing on social sciences and trying to figure something out that's not figure outable. And what we really need is men. Misanthrope Alterus, hello, how are you today?
Hey, what's up? How you guys doing?
Hey, Altruist.
Good. You said you got a good night's sleep last night, huh?
Yeah, I wasn't out gallivanting though, so
Are you up on the topic?
yeah, I was there for a minute. So this actually, I might be able to give a more nuanced perspective because I might be simping back. I don't know. I might need feedback. So go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, talk to us.
Talk to us. How do you feel about that? What's
Okay.
what's going on? When you're looking at Mgtow and you're looking at the town out there after you get to your spot or wherever you're going, you look back at the town still looks attractive. There's something very attractive about the town, and going back to where we were, we can take some information on that and everything and try that out and do that, and and most likely it'll end up the same way because the system is formed to screw us over and extract our utility. And when people go back, is it the question of how much utility they're willing to get extracted?
Yeah, you know what? That's the funny thing. One thing, I've been dealing with talking both online and in real life with several women, and everything goes back to utility. For instance, a most recent one, which has been like, a thing, not dating, not really a title, but a thing. So anyway,
Yeah.
utility always comes up because she'll fucking shower me in these compliments, but the majority of those compliments are what I do for her. You make me feel this. You make me come. You do this. You do that. And that word, utility, fucking totally disenchants the compliment, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Red pill puts a real a damper on relationships with women because you always notice that now. You notice these things with them, and even sex gets a little less because you're the utility in that thing, and that's what we have to watch out for. Like I said, man, it is so attractive wanting a wife and a kid and a family and that picket fence and that whole thing. That's what they throw at us, but that's a pipe dream. Now in this society, in this gynocentric society, that's a pipe dream. And we say that all the time, but we get saturated with those Disney Pixar films that tells us, man, this is the way to go, and you're going to be so happy. Then we come out at the end of that bridge to nowhere going, man, am I beat up.
Yeah, and the rom-coms and the literature and almost every other type of media. I mean, we're sold this idea that you're not a complete man. You're not a proper man unless you're with a woman. We're sold this idea, and yeah, naturally, a man is supposed to be a woman. Naturally, we're supposed to have families. We're supposed to have this, this American dream, this white picket fence dream. But sadly, that's not how it is, And obviously, there are men that they find Mgtow and they're married. We're not telling them to get divorced. We're not saying that. Because the divorce, that's the worst part.
That's the worst part. Yeah, that's the terrible part. Like I said, when you get to that precipice, you have these mountains in front of you. Turning back to the town, I'm looking out over the mountain saying, I'm going to scale one of those motherfuckers. They look huge. That prospect, and that's what we get. What's next? That mountain's what's next. That's being a man. I'm that mountain man. I'm going to scale one of those motherfuckers as a Mgtow. I'm going to get to the top and put my big-ass Mgtow flag down in that mountain.
Yeah.
And if nobody sees it, if I'm the only guy in the woods and no one's seen a tree fall in the woods, fuck it, I'll come back and tell you about it.
Yeah. So why do you think you're going back into simping, Misanthrope?
So all right. So post red pill. Well, for the sake of argument, let's say I have mental illness. Fuck it, I'll throw it out there. I probably do. So with mental illness, even when I was younger and I was complete blue pill, I was real grandiose, baroque, different, kind of weird, lonely kid. Fucking kind of pretty much an asshole. Some of the better expressions of that assholeness were like writing, poetry, whatnot. And that's where we go back to, poetry, right? So one thing that I realized right off the bat is that we created an entire expression, an art form, a way of writing for women in the beginning.
Yeah, we
We
did.
wanted to make pretty words to describe how we felt about them, and better poetry is usually about nature or brotherhood or other ideas, but the dominating poetry, which is now music because poetry's dead, fucking pop music especially, always goes back to love. This
Yeah,
awesome expression has been completely turned into the adoration of women, mainly.
yeah,
So, anyway, I realized that, but when I did write poetry, I didn't write a whole lot about women, but when I did, they fucking rocked. And I'm like, why is that? Why do I need a muse, the traditional muse, to raise me up a level? And so I am still stuck on that idea because recently I've been, doing my womanizer thing, so I have a lot of contact with women. Uh, and so it's that stuff. It's that remnant shit, of like, we're gonna be pissed off because we see the lie for the lie, but there's gonna be part of us still attached to the lie. Like I want that, it's like the soulmate thing. I want that to be true, or the happily ever after picket fence thing. We've all been sold all our lives. You can see that for what it is, but does that mean you stop wanting it? It's kind of like a drug.
yeah, yeah. It's what they sell to us. It's selling us that. I call this. I did a video in. It wasn't very popular, but it explains it very well. It's Romanticism, and
Yeah.
the era of Romanticism came upon us, and we've never got out of that Romanticism. That the only muse that we seem to get from that is the beauty and aesthetics of the female archetype, and that's the only. But we look out over our lives as MGTOWs, and man, I see so much beauty out there, so much manliness, so much. I tell this story once in a while where I was 250 feet up on this crane and I was fixing these blocks, and I dropped my screwdriver,
Mhm.
and the guy on the next crane rail over to me, he kind of smiled and he says, yeah, you should tie a string around that screwdriver. Now you don't have a tool. And I says, yeah, I got to go back down and get that. It's going to take me a half hour to get down. And he swung over. He's been doing this so long. He swung over. He put a screwdriver on my crane rail and swung back and then landed directly on this little cart. There are 2 feet little carts. And I thought, wow, that's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. And he just smiled, and we went on, and I tied the screwdriver up. And we see this with men all the time. We see men do these superhuman feats that we can talk about, that we can write about. And it's about us. It's about these superhuman feats we do. We build skyscrapers. We build bridges. Men do these things every single day. But we don't see that as beautiful because
Yeah.
of this pre-grained idea of romanticism and the female archetype that we have in our brains. Yeah,
And half of us have a need to be needed, and it's weird.
validation. Yeah,
Being a utility, like I even have it with my folks, right? So I get along with them mostly or whatever, but I feel at my best when I help them out because they're aging, right? They can't do a lot of stuff anymore.
yeah,
So when I do my thing, I go over, I help them out, and I feel good. But that is utility, even if it's an honor utilities, and that's an interesting point. Like even if we stop being utility for women, is it wrong or right that we're utility for our families or even for each other?
yeah. That kinship bonds, the kinship bonds that we're born into kinship bonds, and I think to a greater point we alleviate ourselves from thinking about if I got a mother or a father to take care of. That's just the way it is. That's the way biology in this world works. I love my mother. I love my father. I took care of my mother for a long time uh, when she was dying of leukemia, and that was an 8-year process there. So I know about that process of taking care of somebody, but it's not the same. Women out there have no kinship to us. There is no kinship bond. Why do we include them in that kinship bond of extracting our utility?
Well, that's an interesting topic there. I mean, the difference between being a utility and leading a useful life, leading a meaningful life, because we all need to lead meaningful lives. We all need to be useful don't
Yeah,
we? I mean, it's all part of being a living organism. You know,
yeah,
everything on Earth has a use. You know,
Yep.
and I think one of the most underrated resources are men. I think men are the backbone of every single thing that the human beings have ever done, and
yeah.
you know, we don't get that. We don't get that that gratitude that everything else does.
We don't get validated by society for being a man. The only place in validation we can get is uh, is in them romanticized relationships that aren't really real. Imagine this, guys. Imagine you and a bunch of your buddies built a bridge, and then after you built that bridge, you stood there and said, "No one can come on this bridge. No one can enjoy this bridge. Where no one can go over this bridge. It's just our bridge." No, that would be as soon as that first car goes over that bridge, I'm like ecstatic. It worked. I did it. I made this bridge in life. That's what we do. We build things. We create things bigger than ourselves. That are huge and monolithic. And we do these things. We don't do them. Whether that occasional woman's going to walk over that bridge and say, and just disregard it. That's the things we complain about. That's the things we look at and say, she thinks that naturally happened because it grew. Someone planted a seed and a bridge grew out of the ground.
Yeah,
You need to
and
see how,
that's what upsets us.
yeah,
It goes back to this issue of honor. It is such a dishonor to be ungrateful. It's one of those things, isn't it? Not only that, but not only are they ungrateful, but they blame us. They blame us for things that happen that are not our fault. It's like if they're unhappy, if women are unhappy, we get the blame. If the government is in debt, the men get taxed, but it's the men that did everything in the first place. It's the men that built everything. It's the men that pay the majority of the taxes, and it's the men that look after the women. I mean, the fact is, everything else gets gets their gets their validation, gets their reward. But it seems like that men are expendable, and this is the thing.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Society tells us after we get done doing that, oh, that was a job well done. I get to use it, but hey, start on another one, bitch.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, that hurts so much, and that's what we pull back in Mgtow. We go galt, and we say, no, you can't have my utility anymore. Let's see how that feels.
It's strange. It's like men. They're like the first to be used. They're the first to be utilized,
He's
and
utilized.
they're the last to be thanked. But they're the first to be imprisoned. They're the first to be restricted. They're the first to be forced upon. We're the first to get the blame.
Yeah, yeah. So
Well, I mean, and we're a full spectrum. If you really look at it in this perspective, as men, there are two men here, okay, in the spectrum. The one is the filthiest, richest man in the world, and I bet you the poorest man right now is also a man. Everything else is in between there. But we are the two extremes, really.
Exactly.
Good point.
yeah, yeah. We look at this thing of utility extraction, and we look at what we do here in Mgtow and the usefulness of our rebuilding men, and then we look at the women that see this as just another cognitive therapy program, and they do that to us. We're a cognitive therapy program, so you can fix my boyfriend and make him into a real man, and then
Yeah.
I can reuse this utility.
That's
And,
and that's exactly the mindset. Yeah. How many guys have gone through the couples therapy sessions?
Yeah.
And that was what she was all about. Mr. Therapist, please fix my hubby or my boyfriend so that I can use them up as a utility.
Yeah.
And this is happening at a very subconscious level. This has already been passed on multi-generationally, especially in the 20th century. Namely so when the 60s came around. And now, in 50 to 60 years of feminism.
Yeah. So when we get to that next, the Stardust effects, we'll just coin it that, the Stardust. So we get to that Stardust effect, which all of us will at a certain point.
Yeah.
8, 9 months, 10 months into this thing, I've seen this reciprocal pattern of Mgtows coming through. I've been around long enough to notice. We talked about this yesterday too.
Yeah.
That the 14, 15 really good material content makers that started out last January or so, out of them, how many are left?
Yeah.
TFM is a very good example. He's the one, you know. Yeah, he's the Neo.
Messenger. We
Messenger,
have to say
yeah,
messenger.
Messenger. He's the Neo. You know, he scaled the mountain, and he does scale mountains, and he don't care if anybody watches him do that. He did it. That's the next step. Be the one. Be the one. That's what we say. Be the one.
Yeah, I say that to everyone. I say make the videos you want to see. Make the channel that you would subscribe to. I say that to everybody.
Yeah.
Well put, Shiny.
Yeah, so if we lose a few along the way, and they want to go try that and put their foot in them waters, them crocodile-filled waters again, and maybe lose a foot this time, hey, you know, what did you learn? You know, what did you learn? And they're saying, oh, I learned a lot. And I'm going, no, you didn't. You didn't learn nothing.
Well,
Yeah.
don't they bring back into the world something? I mean, I find it hard to believe that even if they go back, if they do that cipher from the Matrix thing, because
Yeah.
they want the stake, they want to not remember, there is no AI to wipe their memory. You
No,
know,
there
so they're
isn't,
going to
yeah.
remember the camaraderie, they're going to remember all the information. If they had a red pill moment or not, they're going to remember that. Can you really unlearn that? Is it good that they, you know, some of them go through this revolving door, go back into the world? Won't that affect them? Won't they do something in their life differently?
There's always going to be ciphers in this world, okay?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can go to the 12-step programs, to Alcoholics Anonymous. There are guys that have been hanging around there for 12, 15, 20 years. I think it's time to go back out, do some more research. That's what they call it in the 12
Yeah.
step.
Yeah.
And sure enough, you know, a couple months down the road, or you know, even a couple years, comes back with his tail between his legs. Yep, did my research. This is where I belong. You know?
Yeah, that's a great example, because we
It's a
see
great
this,
example, and that's what and this is the thing, where, you know, once it's out, once you've had that red pill moment, you can't go back.
Yeah,
You
but
really can't go back. It's stuck to your ribs for life.
There's some that try. There's some that try to go back.
Yeah. What's that term you used yesterday? The drug dealers are doing push-ups in the parking lots.
Yeah,
You know,
the
the
drug
women are,
dealer, yeah.
the women are doing push-ups in the parking lot, waiting for that well-built
to
man to
flip
come
up.
back out. Yeah, so they can tap him again.
That's right. That's right. It's you know, he's there. He's there in the parking lot doing push-ups. That addict, you know, the addiction, you know, to pussy.
Yeah.
And it's there. It's waiting for you to slip up, and it always catches us when you slip up, when you least expect it. That's how it works. It's very insidious.
And with, you know, any sort of, you know, if Mgtow alters confidence, and someone said the word emanation, you know what, that's fucking true. Like, you get a different kind of swagger with certain red pill knowledge. You just do. And guess what? It's just that I don't give a fuck moment means that women want you to fuck them. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah, we get more attractive in here for them. It's just natural. It's just natural. You start taking care of yourself. You look better. You feel better. You're more confident. Them are things that, you know, but they're waiting for that. And you know, hey, at a certain point, we do have to tackle this what's next problem, and we do have to bring a clarity to Mgtow, and for a lot of guys, that's just getting active. Man, do I see some active guys around here. Some guys say, you know, I don't see that in Mgtow. When they're doing a flip you off at the end, they're saying, I don't see no active Mgtows. But look around. Look around. I see I see great examples of men pushing and forging their way into society here. And there's a few. Kevin, he does what he does, and I do what I do here. And if you want to look at an example, I do what I do here. I take in men that are homeless and try to give them a temporary solution for life's problems. And I don't do that because I wouldn't do that as a blue pill guy. I do that because I learned that here in Mgtow, that was my mountain, and I did it. And when I first did my video, my first actual video on YouTube a year ago, that's what I said I was going to do. I said I was going to go get this house, I was going to bring it in, and I was going to start taking in men. And that was my goal, a game plan. So do we need goals and game plans when we come in MGTOW? Man, I'm going to set my sights on that and
Well,
try.
that's interesting. I mean, maybe that's what they're trying to get at, you know, about moving forward. Maybe what they're trying to say is, how do we lead meaningful, useful lives? Now, you can't answer this question because every single man is of different abilities, is of different circumstances, and for each man, their mountain is going to be different.
Yeah.
So there's no one answer to that. You can't say, oh, being a mechanic, or making money, or being a CEO in or having your own business. You can't say that to a man because you do not know what situation he's
Right.
in.
Yeah. Yeah. Being a man, Winninger says this very well, and he says being man is a series of moments that's going to happen where you have something to tackle, something to do, and as soon as that moment is ended, guess what? You get the next moment, and then you do that again. And being a man, and Winninger was a great example of MGTOW. He says you do that moment, and then you transcend, and you traverse that moment. You've put that behind you, and you start working on that next moment of being a man.
Well,
And
I've always said that on my videos. I just made another. I don't know if anybody follows my channel, but it was basically a repeat of my second video that I made. My video, it's called "Men Sold Short." You know, where I'm saying, you know, men, they're not valuing themselves enough. You know,
yeah,
we are great. We are great. You know, we are great creatures. We're a great resource, and normally our abilities and our potential is a lot more than we initially perceive, because it seems the entire world seems, or we can perceive it as we're being beaten down. And I'm saying, just go to the next step. You know, try
yeah, start it, dude.
one more thing.
Yeah, start that baby steps. Sometimes, you know, it takes when you're beaten down, babies, you know, taking baby steps forward, and just keep pushing, and that it'll come. It'll
Mm.
come, and we stop being those broken men, and we start being the statues of supermen that we are, and it's just moving into that gracefully. But that's the point where a lot of guys are asking, what they get to that next step thing, and what is it? Where am I going? Well, what is it? Ask
It's,
yourself. Do
it,
that
it's
self-introspection.
it's a very difficult topic. I mean, what we're basically saying is, how do we be better men? You know, what is who is the best man in the world? It's a silly question. You can't compare each man because of the fact that every man has different capabilities. Every man is
Right. Yeah.
is in very, very unique circumstances. So, for example, the man who's homeless and suicidal, obviously his goal is trying to get himself housed and healthy. And then there's like the CEO or the multi-billion guy that, you know, he just sits in his office, signs forms all day. For him, obviously, it'll be maybe being a bit more altruistic, you know, helping out the community more, helping out those that are less fortunate. You know, for every man, it's going to be different.
Every man's going to be different. It's what is your designation in life? What did you pick for yourself? What did you want to be when you were a kid? You know, sometimes we jump over those things that we wanted for what other people wanted from us. I often say people wanted me to be a maintenance man, an electrician, and all that stuff. That's not what I was. That's what utility was designated to me by my parents, my schooling, all those people. But at a certain point in life, I don't want to die that way doing something I don't want to do,
Mm.
or was never me. I want to be what me was, and that's a big question sometimes. Doing that introspection about what made me happy. Which one of those red trucks or that truck, you know, when I was playing with this kid, was my fascination.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because that's something I also talked about on my video. You know, the fact that we all seem to be preset, you know, certain situations, circumstances, from our, nobody has control over who we're born to. So from that day, from the very day we're born, our circumstances are already set for us, and then obviously our gender set for us, and then we're sent to already preset schools and preset education and all. I remember my parents; they wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer, and the funny thing is, they sent me to the worst schools in the entire city. so so they wanted me to be to have one of the best professions, but given the worst tools to do it. And I think this is what society is about. I mean, society, they want basically a blood out of stone. And the thing is, I say to men, you don't have to live by other people's standards. I think that's the important, that's important message that I want to give to the guys. You don't have to live by what society sets you. Set your own goals. You can see, normally people can judge what characteristics they, when we observe other people, when we observe other men, we can generally say, oh, I like this about this guy, or I like that this guy, he's patient, he's mild-tempered, or I like the fact that this guy's very intelligent, or I like the fact that this guy, he always stands up for the underdog. We've got this.
Yeah, we get a lot of guys around here, and in the social sciences is pushed a lot. You know what? If you're not a social scientist, that's not going to work very well for you. That's like being told you're gay. Why don't you just try being gay? No, that's not going to work for you because you're not gay. It'll never work. Being told we're a social scientist or a biologist or we need to cure the world of that. No, what works for us? Misanthrope, you said, did you like writing? Is there a possibility that you can delve into that greater?
Yeah, there's always that possibility, but going back to the, my handle, my name is reflective of basically a war inside my brain, and whether that's mental illness or something metaphysical, that's a conversation largely up for me. But I'll just throw out the mental illness title so it's easy to relate to. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
So it's a possibility. It is. I mean, actually now, I think I want to publish, and maybe not even under my real name, but I just want to publish a body of my work just to get it out there, and then be done with it, and then maybe move on from there. So.
Oh yeah, Mgtow Teacher had some great advice for that last night when he gave us a little advice to Barbara.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 100-page book. Do it 100-page and see how that bites, and then prepare for a follow-up book.
Yeah, don't give them your total genius at first and then flop. Let's see if they like it, and then I'll go from there, and then give them a little more and a little more. It's the same thing, with the pixels on the cameras.
That's right.
They could have released a 10-pixel camera right away, and then everybody would have bought one and had one, but they did it little at a time.
That's right, exactly.
What do they call that in business? They call that it's a disposability. You throw away that old camera, get a new one. That's what you want to do to the public when you're writing. Give them 100 pages of genius.
Well, it's a teaser. It's a teaser as well, and and if he structures it properly, he can put in some key buzzwords which will lead into the second book, right? But again, that's a lot of writers' license, so to speak.
Yeah.
How to do that,
So yeah, we can learn here in Mgtow. There's a lot of brilliant men in here, and that's another thing that somebody said in a recent hangout, that there wasn't the quality of men in Mgtow that we deserve. That somehow the next Freud wasn't going to come from Mgtow, or the next Einstein wasn't going to come from Mgtow.
They're not going to come from anywhere. They're certainly not going to emerge from this society. That's the interesting thing, is that we'll never have men of such status or heights, Olympian heights again, because our modern society is not built that way anymore.
Let's go back maybe 60, 70 years. Wouldn't the likes of Tesla, tune into our podcast?
Oh heck yeah, he would.
You know what I mean?
He'd be our number one fan. He'd be on here. He'd be on the chat box saying, "Zeta, give me a link."
Give me a link. Yeah, get me a link, and then everybody else would be trying to hijack.
Well, it's no wonder, there's mental illness is so prevalent in our society now, because our very circumstance, the very environment that men find themselves in, it's very contradictory. I mean, we're told to be one thing, and then we're told a completely different thing the next. It's like it's like a world of contradictions. Men were supposed to be strong, but we're supposed to be, feminine. We're supposed to look after women, but we're supposed to give women their independence. We're supposed to, no wonder men are so messed up. And they come on Mgtow and we sort that all out for them, don't we?
Yeah. Blue pill world is a mental illness, isn't it?
It's a contrived world.
Yeah, it's a contrived default
It's a contrived
setting
world.
for men. It's contrived, and it's a mental illness. Once you get over that and you start looking at Mgtow and your vast resources out there, the horizons that you build for yourself, the world does look a lot better from our point of view. And we look back at that, and then we see these people that come around, and I often say, are you mental? Well, how can you think like that anymore? And I see that maybe, blue pill society and that stuff is a mental illness, and we got to jump over that. Yeah.
So, but beyond the red pill, right? What's the prognosis? I guess it goes back to the next step. People want to know the next step, or even ideas. I mean, they don't have to be absolutes. So.
Yeah. Well, this comes back, and I think that's that's the thing about the Stardust effect, okay? And also, and whether it is or not, but it's coming to that point of what's next, okay? And I think that's just it. Guys might be, when they get to that point of what's next, they may well be fully enlightened at that point without even realizing it. But because guys have been conditioned to think in such a way that oh geez, I'm in a void here. What the fuck? Where am I gonna go next? But I think that's the point right there, that you're opening that gate, to wherever you really want to fucking go. Right.
Yeah, I used I don't know if a lot of guys will understand it. I used the 42 thing. 42 coming from the reference to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh yeah,
that was their ultimate question too. Yeah. What's next? And 42 was a good answer. You know why 42 was a good answer? Because 42 is a mathematical thing that electricians like myself use, businessmen use, and I'll give the businessmen example. Back in 1951, I think it was, the stockbrokers were sitting around, and they had figured out these peaks, these peaks in their lives, and these peaks where they're going to make more money and less money, and they wanted the mathematics genius to figure out a combination where they can quantify those peaks, whether they were, and they came up with Ram and some other guy, I can't remember his name, came out with the F to G thing that says this will tell you whether your work is working. And he was laughing, he was smirking at him as he was doing it, and it was the 42 question. He was saying, you have the peaks right in front of you, and that's what I'm saying. You have those peaks in Mgtow right in front of you, where you can look at them, analyze them, see what works, see what doesn't work, and it's right in front of you. Mgtow is the answer.
Yeah.
The 42 is sit back. If that day where you don't got nothing to do and everything's fixed in your life and all those peaks are lined up, do a self-evaluation, sit down on your couch, smoke a cigar, and that's your 42 fucking moment in life.
Yeah. And I think that's just it. Guys need to realize, maybe I'm speaking for myself here. I need to realize when I've accomplished something, because I've been such a utility all my life that that's all I know, right? It's never good enough, right? Even if I've done something extraordinary, it bypasses, and that's something that I know for myself. I got to watch that, because that's that's where I start self-loathing and get into that frame of mind, and we need to be aware of what we're doing, how we're building things, and where our aim is, and then resolution, bringing it through, finishing, getting the job done. Okay.
Getting the job done.
And then sit back and look at what you've done, right?
Yeah, look at what you've done. in
That's right.
life. If everything's working, your toaster's working, your coffee maker's working, everything around your house is fixed, everything's that's what you were striving for in
That's
life.
right.
That's the thing you wanted. That's what the mathematician was smirking at the stockholder saying, you've already got it right in front of you.
Exactly. But then again, you got a society that's saying, no, it's not good enough. It's got to be bigger, better. It's got to be new and improved 30% more, right? And, and that's just it. You get these guys who are over accomplishing, and, it's going right by them,
Yeah,
right?
take that
They're not
break.
even seeing it.
They're
They're
not
not
even
taking
seeing
that
it.
break.
Yeah,
Like
and
you said, Joe.
yeah, when I walk in my door, plop down on a couch, look around, and everything's fixed, that's a beautiful moment.
Uh-huh.
I have choices then. That comes back to that point. What do I want to do now? I could go have a few beers with the buds
Yeah.
and enjoy the shit out of that. I can go get the best hamburger in town. I can, I can jump in my car or do whatever I want. I can do whatever I want to do. It's freedom. And at the end of that trip that you did after you addressed all those peaks, and you said, guess what you got? You got total freedom.
Yeah.
That's freedom is what we search for in Mgtow. I know there's a process to get to that point where you get everything lined up and where everything's working in your life. But once you do have that, don't sit down and start complaining about you don't have nothing to do, because that was the chore you set out to have, nothing to do.
Yeah. Well, it's like I said, and I'll stress it again. I think when guys do get to that point, they're, like I said, they're just not used to accomplishing things, right? Because it's
Yeah,
utility all their fucking life,
yeah, the
right?
good no utility. The joy was in doing the job,
That's right.
not finishing the job. No, the joy for me after I drywall the wall and I smooth it down perfectly and everything's all the dimples are out, all the little imperfections are
Yeah.
out, and then I paint it. I
Hmm.
step back. I step back and I go, what a beautiful work of art.
Exactly. Same with tuning an engine.
Yeah,
It depends on what you're doing there. Anything and everything, guys. You know, find your Zen moment.
yeah. Enjoy that moment too. Don't let someone take that away from you. Like tell you you didn't do enough. That's what women do. They tell you you didn't do enough. That
But there,
wasn't enough.
but
Yeah.
then again, there's a caveat. Okay, with that, Joe, what you said, certain things are meant for you and you alone. Okay, and this is a very important. As much as we contribute and put out into the world, remember ourselves first, right?
Right. Be true to yourself.
And
Yeah.
that's where you become true to yourself. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then everything else balances it out.
Yeah. I can't wait to read the shit that Mythanthrope puts out. I can't wait to read it. That's an exciting moment in my life. Yeah. It would be an exciting moment in his life when he gets there, and whatever he does, whatever. Every time I see a MGTOW around here, say, hey, I did this. I wrote a book, or I achieved something in my life. I'm happy. I'm
Yeah.
joyous for him. I can enjoy that within MGTOW and say, yeah, we do things around here. That's what we do around here. We achieve things.
Yeah.
We're all searching for that. Uh, that's joy, sharing that. If you can't share in some other man's joy, I think there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
uh, Man, we could have a party someday. Barbarossa's going to release his book soon. That's going to be a joyous moment in all of our lives because it's the first thing it's that step one done, MGTOW quantified moment that we've been looking for. Maybe it'll disappoint some people. Maybe it'll awaken some questions in some people. Uh, Maybe we start working on 2.0 now.
It could
And
also be a bestseller too, as well. You never know if some of the
yeah,
people outside of MGTOW grab a hold of it. Women are going to start grabbing a hold of that. What the fuck
yeah.
is this MGTOW shit? Who is this
Oh yeah.
Barbarossa guy? Let's.
Yeah, yeah. You know what the first MGTOW book I think was Matt Ridley, The Red Queen. Did Matt Ridley ever think that he was going to put out that bestseller that every college student that delves into biology is going to read,
Yeah.
and it's going to cost them what's a book at a college now cost 160 to $600?
Oh, it's ridiculous what students are paying. Oh, yeah, that's a different topic on a different day there.
Yeah.
All the students can speak for themselves if they're listening in on this right now. What they have
Yeah.
to pay in tuition and all that shit.
Oh God, yes. I can't remember what I paid for some of these books, and I'd look at them and they're sitting on stacked up in my corners, uh, I could probably resell them, but they don't like that either. But it's just let's
Wasn't
make
there a point where any man could go in and just do an audit a class at any university. I've been looking into that recently, and it comes to find out it now costs. You actually have to pay
The cost,
tuition
yeah.
to not get credit to sit in on a class. It's
Yeah,
hilarious.
it's hilarious. Yeah, you used to be able to do it. I remember doing that a few times, just sitting in when I had some problems with mathematics. I would just sit in on a class and tell them I'm just you had to use the word and get permission and go through and say I'm just here to because this will assist in this other course that I'm taking, and now you got to pay for it. It's the system, and it's extracting utility. They want to extract, because basically we got so many lighter than air jobs out there of people that don't do nothing. Someone's going to have to pay for it.
Yeah.
We got this whole introduction to females coming into these lighter than air jobs. They get a bachelor's degree and find out that there's a 60-day course to become an engineer, and then someone will slap that engineer just to fill that spot that I now have a woman engineer in my department. But does she really know that much about engineering? No, she just got the title slapped on her, and it fails us all. It fails us all. And yeah. Do we have any other questions from the?
Yeah, I was just going to suggest anybody in the chat room, if you have any questions about what we've discussed so far, please let us know here. We'll address it.
I should have gave. Where's Mgtow today? I didn't give him the moderation duties out there.
Sorry, who?
Mgtow.
Oh, Mgtow. Is he in today? I haven't seen him in the chat room.
I haven't seen him in today. I miss Mgtow. And so back to the ultimate question. I mean, what is the ultimate question for you personally in your life? Me, I think I've achieved it. I'm not going to say what's next for me, because maybe there isn't nothing next. Maybe it's just enjoy what I got. Take a walk in the park. Go fishing.
Enjoy your now. Maybe that's just
enjoy my now. Yeah. I went fishing the other day.
How was that?
Oh man, it was great. The leaves were turning. I did a little reading about that, and the leaves were turning. The banks had that smell to them, and you could see the trout. The trout run's beginning. You're getting a few trout down, and I do fly fishing a little bit because hey, that's manly. I tell you what, you guys ever read some of those books about fly fishermen? There's a great little book out there. I suggest it. It's called Black River Dreams.
Yeah.
And he describes everything he's learned about his fly fishing, and you get out there and it's just beautiful to be by the water and the river. Black River's right at the bottom of my street too, so I can walk down to it. It's not the Black River they were talking about, but I do have a Black River, and I get to walk the banks. And what I thought about when I was in there is I never wanted to come out, because at the edge of the gorge there that extended out into the real world were all those problems, all those people. And I wanted to stay there forever, but that's unrealistic. Eventually I had to traverse the gorge and climb back up it, and then get to my street, and then walk back up my street. I look like a goof too. I think a few women were looking at me. There I was with my big boots and my fishing pole and my goofy flies. And
oh, good. That's a good way to come across, man. I mean, that's what I'd be doing. Is just collecting, get all the fish and get a smoker handy. At this time of the year, I'd be sitting there gutting them and putting them in the smoker, and you know how I feel about smoked fish, there, Joe.
Oh yeah. When I came out of the woods, I felt reborn again. I felt, man, there was I was sweating. It's quite a climb, and I was sweating, and I was doing that. I smelled like a man, and there was burrs in my hair and burrs on my covered down. I'm picking them off, and I'm spitting, and man, that's a good moment there. It was a good moment in my life, because there was a certain clarity after that came with me. I was confused at the end of the week after some of the people said what they were saying. So I was like, "Fuck this! I'm just going to grab my poles and go down to the lake, or I'm going to go down to the river that leads to the lake and just watch the leaves for a little bit. And man, I don't even take bait sometimes. You know, just throw it on. Yeah, I hear this a lot. I throw my pole in and then I get a comfortable spot and I might fall asleep.
Yeah. Hey, Joe, we've got a question in from Golden Eagle now, just moving on here. And this question is from a man's perspective, to what extent is it okay for men to be selfish on a 0 to 100% scale? So,
hey, it's a brilliant question.
Yeah, I think that's really good. Let's get into that.
So we have let's qualify, rather than use numbers, let's use words. So on one scale, you would have self-love, right? And then the other one, possible toxic narcissism.
Yeah.
You know, so and here's the thing, we live in a narcissistic culture. We all agree that a lot of that is coming from the female side and the placation to that side. So what does it mean for a man to be a narcissist? What does it mean to be a man just to take care of himself and love himself? Like, where's the middle path?
Yeah, I think we kind of breached on that a little. For me, it's being proper. What is proper? What is the etiquette you adhere to in your life of selfishness? There's a certain, I can go pop 1,000 women and do that thing, but that just wouldn't be proper. How I act in my life, there'd be no etiquette in these rules which I live by. These ethics and these rules which I live by would make me feel bad if I extended past those things.
I think being selfish and altruistic are not mutually exclusive. I think naturally men want to help and want to be useful. They feel being useful is meaningful. I don't think being selfish and altruistic are two separate things. I think when you contribute, when you help out, I think you are also helping yourself. I mean, one one saying we have in the West is don't shit on your own doorstep.
Yeah.
Because, but I mean, you could say, well, I'm feeling lazy. I'm just going to do a shit right here. But the thing is, you're harming yourself as well, and that's the same with when you start abusing the people around you, when you start being toxic and generally a harmful individual to those around you. Being selfish and being an arsehole are two separate things.
Right.
Be selfish. Do things. Make sure you're the strongest person. You're the smartest person you can be. And what good is being strong? What good is being smart? Unless you do smart things and you use your strength. Be useful. Do things. Help out. Be known as that guy. That's the doer.
Yeah. They often say, I can't help anybody else if I don't help myself. First and foremost, it should be for yourself, and then you get in a position where you start making those decisions as the company owner. That what Zeta gave the example, I think, earlier, of the guy sitting there. What can I do now? Thing is, I have everything. I've done everything for myself, and I fixed everything about myself. Now I can start doing that. But I can't help anybody unless I help myself, and that's where it should start, helping yourself. And then a natural thing happens. I'm in the position to help. I can give back now. We hear this in Mgtow. I can give back what I was freely given.
And let's not forget that half measures avail us nothing too. If we're going to take on something, we got to go full tilt.
Oh yeah, that's male shit there. I'm balls to the walls most of the time when I set my sights on something. It's not selfish, is it? We get told us that, man, if you don't do this, you're a selfish man all the time. But that's just a degrading of our spirit, so they can extract that utility. It's not selfish to do things for yourself. You can put certain restraints on what you see as altruistic and what you see as just being, like I say, what's proper and we all know what's proper, what not to do in life. You don't steal, you don't lie, you don't cheat, you don't, and we say we don't, stick your your pecker in something that's had 20 dicks in it before. We can relate those things to here in these male spaces, because that would just give the world a bad view of you. Being these immoral creatures, sometimes it just gives the world a bad. But we can change things here in Mgtow to give the world a better view of men. And we are altruistic creatures, but let us become men first so we can do that.
Yeah, I think there are certain things, to put it in a more simpler way, I think there are certain areas and certain things that being selfish is good. For example, wanting to be the best you can be. Someone could say, yeah, that's selfish, but that's a good selfish, wanting to be the most or the fastest or the biggest that you can. Then nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with selfishness a little bit. And I don't even, can we reword that word too?
Yes.
Is there a different word than selfishness? Because that automatically has a stigma attached to it, doesn't it?
It does. It definitely has. And there's a lot of words that are flying around everywhere, and I think they've, have just lost their meaning because, popular culture hijacks them. And even though the dictionary, in the dictionary, the word will remain the same, it's being used and universally misused, and we see a lot of words like that these days, and I think selfish is definitely one of them, because on the other type of that, our culture is extremely encouraging all of us to be toxically narcissistic, completely self-centered and completely self-absorbed, and it conflates that with the word selfish. And yeah, we do need a new word. We need a different word. So
yeah, we need a word that describes the Mgtow altruism, that after we get what we're going for, after we get that, we're not selfish for doing that. I'm not selfish for wanting to, if I break my arm, am I selfish for wanting to fix that and get it in the best arm condition that I possibly can? Because I'm going to need that arm.
It's a brilliant point that you two just brought up. I mean, we're taught as a society to we are taught as a society, we're taught to be individuals, to be very segregated, to be very selfish, to the point where if I can get one leg up, or if I can get one step above you by stepping on you, then that's what we should do. But the thing is, I don't think that's what Mgtow is about at all. I don't think that's us, and I don't think that's the type of selfishness we're talking about. Yeah, there needs to be another word for it. I mean, even rationally and logically speaking, I mean, if we just take the example of earning money, taking money and accumulating as much money as we can, that money is only as useful as what you spend it on. So you're only making that money so you can spend it, so you can give it away. You sticking it in your bank or sticking it underneath your mattress or burying it in your garden, that's not why people make money, is it? They make money so they can spend it. And obviously, what's the best way to spend it? What is the most useful way to spend it? That's another issue. But even logically speaking, when you're selfish to the point where you're trying to be the most and the best you can be, that's only useful when you act on it, when you use these attributes that you've accumulated and these resources.
Yeah. Let's use an example, and we talked about this recently privately in chat, and I'll bring it up on my channel. I had a couple requests from people to come into this forum, and what they were doing and what I perceived, I was making nothing from their presence here. There was nothing I could take away, and it is my forum, and it's Zeta's forum, and it's your forum, and Shining's forum. What they were doing, they was trying to use me for a springboard, and that's selfish there. They're using other people. When you start using other people for the step on to get over, that decorum, that's where you are selfish. And you're not thinking about if you work together in a collaboration where two men equally get something from it, then it's not selfish to get something from that. But if you're going into that with, I'm just going to use him as a springboard so I can increase my viewers or increase my position in Mgtow or increase, and we do this in life too. we see employees using other employees to springboard over them so they can get closer to their goal. That's selfishness. Mgtows,
Yes.
yeah, Mgtows don't do them things. We have a etiquette. We're proper, and we say that to other people. And when we say that, we demand that back, and that stops that. It puts a stopgap measure in people doing that to us, because now we can notice it. We can apply that red pill to the world and say, no, you're not springing over me. You're not going to use me as your utility. I'm going to keep that. Whatever I decide to do with that, don't call me selfish about it, because your intentions were selfish. The world's intentions are selfish. They're going to use you as a springboard. So, what do we get from this? What is selfishness? Selfishness is when you use others, like in a utility extraction. We don't do that. We don't do that in Mgtow.
Yeah, like I said, there's a difference between being selfish and being an arsehole. Nobody likes an arsehole. Don't be an arsehole, guys.
Hey, is it I've often noticed when I look out around there, is it okay that you ever hear someone call a woman an asshole?
Sometimes I have. Fuck.
I mean, it's almost like it's not allowed to be used, but some women are real assholes.
We should call more women assholes.
Yeah,
That should be used more.
Yeah, we get it all the time. It's even between men, if your buddy's acting like an asshole, you just kind of go, "Hey, you're an asshole."
Yeah.
Stop it. And then the woman comes around and she starts acting like an asshole. You're not allowed to say it.
Women are assholes, aren't they?
Yeah.
Some get a lot of arsehole women.
Yeah, let's start. I mean, we call them out for that stuff in here. If she's acting like an asshole, man, let it be said. And but that's when that white knighting comes in. You call, and then I did a video on that over. Oh, that's my wife. You can't talk to her like that. No, your wife's an asshole.
There's a lot of women assholes, aren't there?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what they don't like about us, because we are those guys.
Yeah.
We are, and then it's back to the we've detangled this web. It's back. Oh, you're selfish. Oh, you're an idiot. Oh God. And then it's if they flip off those words and they don't know what the words mean, and they don't know what the words equate to, and it's just shaming language with people. It's no. I was just telling the truth. We're allowed to tell the truth around here.
We need to tell the truth. Who else is going to say it if we don't? We're going to watch PewDiePie and hear it from him.
No, yeah, dancing in a dress, dressed up as a girl, playing video games. Boy, that doesn't...
pulling faces, and calling everyone. What does he call them? Bros or something like that. And
bros, yeah.
People easily bought.
Yeah, that's not good for men. It's fun to watch the entertainment sometimes, and the entertainment in life is, you step back from it and you're watching it, you're observing it. He's just the entertainment. There's things that are much more real out there.
He's the clown. He's the clown to
the clown car. Yeah, they're the clown car. Like I was talking, the MRAs running around doing the humor to deflect what they really wanted to say. They're not being honest. They're driving around in a clown car. Look at me. With their clown mask and their clown car. Look at me. I'm and then they deflect from what they really. Wouldn't it be easier just to walk up and say, "Hey, that bitch is an asshole."
Yeah. We're all tiptoeing around women, and we need to stop that, don't we? Let's get over that.
Let's get over that. Let's not be clowns, We're not clowns. We're not honk honk. Hey, look at me. Waka waka. No, that's so degrading to men, and it starts that degrading. That's it says to the rest of society, I'm willing to degrade myself to try to somehow articulate a point.
Yeah, it's the tragic gesture. So
yeah, the tragic clown. That's it. Yeah, we've seen those stories as we went through school about the tragic clown, but no one ever talks about him. He is so tragic and so pathetic.
That's something we want to save men from. We're trying to save ourselves from. Being clowns and being batteries. That's what we're about.
Yeah, the batteries are clown-powered batteries in the blue pill world.
And yeah, and as soon as those batteries have run out, they get thrown away.
Yeah, they end up in that big dumpster of batteries, that
Uh,
garbage pit that they're all swelling around in, and then we give them this cure, this Mgtow cure, and they don't want it. They want to swell around in the battery disposable battery dump.
mm, sad but true. Sad but true. And I don't know. So why men want to go back to that? Obviously, they don't see it like they see being the jester, being the house clown. They see being plugged into the matrix as something good, something nice. I think
Yeah.
people are like that. I think people are that they're used to comforts and to like what's the word now? Well-known schedules. What's that word when things go round and round, perpetually, and people are
Uh,
just used to it.
yeah, they're
Well, they're
just
used
it's
to
just
misery and they're used to cynicism. The kind of, again, another good word, because a lot of people will call MGTOW cynics, but I don't know that that's
yeah.
true. I think it's a lot more nuanced than that. But you know what? Too much cynicism is toxic. But our whole culture is cynical. Like nobody believes in shit anymore. Nobody wants to help anyone anymore. So
Yeah, I
uh,
think Zeta gave that example of who was I talking to the other day that gave the example of the man that was in his house and the women were just berating him, and that became the culture. He was the guy going to work. He was the guy providing everything, and we see this so much in our families. We see the men. We go to a party and the women are just sitting there berating him, but you look at him and go, "Hey, wait a second. That's the guy that's providing everything."
Mm.
yep.
And he's the clown. He's become the clown to them.
Mhm.
I think bullies and I think it's been going on a long time. That exact scenario when there's a public gathering and the women go off and hen off and talk about the cocks and they
Yeah,
make fun of the cocks. What about the bullies that are around that? They get used to the idea that we're a joke, we're fodder. We're
yeah,
nothing that we're just bullies and we're gonna grow up to be men. And if we don't have utility, then make fun of us.
Mm.
yeah,
That's perpetuated due to the fact that there's always men that are willing to fulfill those clown shoes. I think that's
yeah.
the problem. There's always some dirty, sick old, well, sick guy who's going to stick his willy in
Oh
some
yeah,
used up, single mother, and she knows that. Everybody knows that. So men, they take it, but I think it's about time for a change, guys. I think it's
yeah.
about
It
time
is.
we valued our own selves slightly higher than society have been telling us what we're worth.
Yeah, didn't we just go full circle back to the Simp Reclamation project?
It's all linked, guys. It's all
It's all
linked.
linked. We went full circle, explained the whole thing. I hope people were listening. Don't be the clown. Don't be that simp. When you get it, get it. It's what we were supposed to get, and take it and accept it and give it back and share it. MGTOW's here. Share it.
I'd like to see that. I'd like to see the day where men are valued more. At the moment, we're the bottom rung.
Well,
We're
that's
right
something
at the
we can
bottom.
do. We go out in the world and we value other men, and
Yeah.
I've been doing that, and that's probably the most healthiest manifestation from anything I learned from MGTOW so far. So I'm struggling with other things, but that one I got down. Before this thing, I didn't know. Altruism and brotherhood were abstract concepts. After it, I feel like I'm an advocate for every man. I don't care how fucked up he might be. I'm still his advocate, unless he fucks me over directly. So.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good thing. That's what we can do. When we go up to the local convenience store and the guy's there, he's doing the night shift because it's a more dangerous shift on the convenience store, and his utility. He's just there because he's a man, and you buy your smokes or a couple candy bars, and you get your pop and all that stuff. Uh, Tell him he did a good job. Value what he does. Hey, you're doing a good job. Uh, Let me go see what my dog's barking about.
He's, you can see who wears the pants in Joe's house.
A dog?
Yeah. No, I think that's one of the beautiful things about MGTOW. I think it's the reason why I probably feel slightly protective over just us small band of brothers, this small community. Is the fact that we are saying that we are saying value other men, because it's, if we're going to start doing that, if we're going to start saying, okay, men are worth something, men are beyond just what utility you can use them for, then we have to start treating other men with value. We have to start doing that, and I think it starts with us here, right here.
And you know what? I would dare say that some of the purple pillars or some of the people that leave is because they're getting caught, kind of caught up in politics. And one thing that I do know that section is saying is that Mgtow is not talking about men enough. Mgtow is not valuing men enough. We're talking about women too much. That is, I think, a valid criticism for a lot of us, and we have to deal with it. And maybe there's, we have to deal with that. We need to talk about it, each other more, give each other high fives, metaphorically, whatever, and really focus on the man part of shit outside of the context. For instance, again, I'll go back to a woman I was dating. I had this interesting, candid question I want to answer, and I've asked it in other ways before, but I'm like, when you were with your girlfriends at a bar or whatever, how much time are you talking about relationships, men, and sex? And she said about 98% of the time. And what is that? I think that's gynocentric. I think men have been taught to talk about women like they talk about us. Fuck that. Let's talk about other things. Let's talk about ourselves. Or whatever.
Well, in the society that I live in, okay, if you're a man, you dare not talk about women. If you bring up the topic, even if you talk about something about men that pertains to men, and a woman's listening in, she's going to put her 2 cents worth in, right? Yeah. And correct the situation, correct the dialogue. Of course, I'm not going to mention where it is, Toronto, Canada.
Well, let's do that. Let's open up. As guys, let's open up. Let's be men as men have always been. Let's not be afraid to do that. Let's not let society dictate to us any longer. What we're worth and who we are. Let's open up to each other. Let's start looking around, and let's open up our hearts and minds to each other.
Exactly. Well, with that said, Joe, we're coming up to 1 o'clock. We've been on air almost 2 hours. Is there anything that we need to review here? Anything else that's outstanding? Any further questions?
Yes, there is.
Of course, it's going to be ongoing, but we got to make it. We got to make it palatable for everyone.
Yeah.
What's going on with Mgtow's episode 3 of Starship?
He's writing it right now, isn't he?
Let's put pressure on the production.
Yeah. He came to a little writer's block, and he was doing that, and boy, that guy does good work, and he just does great work, and that's I see that, and Mgtow doesn't appreciate all that work that he done, and it's what we were just saying. Hey, give Mgtow some props for that. Share his stuff and tell him what a good job he did on that, and let's be men about that. And let's not be these simpish little bitches that wasn't good enough.
Yeah, well, I think his animation's brilliant. I think his writing and his story, and I think it's a great one-man production. Fantastic.
Yeah, it is. It's great work, and he puts his heart and soul into it. We all do. We all put our heart and soul into the Mgtow and hope that on the other end something comes out that's just beautiful. And I think I see it on the horizon. How about you guys? Do you think you see it on the horizon, or is it slipping and fading for you?
No, I think it remorphs itself. Some shit goes down in Mgtow. We take a hit, we take the shit, but we reemerge. I think this is beyond us in a sense. No matter how collective we get, the word is out. Mgtow is for real. It's here to stay, and it's an entity all its own.
Yeah,
right?
The cat's out of the bag.
The cat's out of the bag. It's an entity all its own. You can't see it, but it lives within us. And then we come together here on a Sunday and we talk about it. We unleash the fucker, right?
Yeah, Mgtow Unleashed.
Mgtow Unleashed. Yeah, this is it, man. Sundays.
Gone wild.
Yeah, this is the throwdown, gentlemen, not ladies, gentlemen.
Yeah, gentlemen, no ladies here.
Yeah. Okay. It's any questions? Any further questions from the chat room there? We'll just wait until they catch up.
Yeah. What is it? A 30-second delay?
Something like that.
Yeah, Jason. Purple men are afraid of work it takes to fulfill their passion. Are purple men afraid of the work that it takes to fulfill their passion?
That's a good one, actually.
Yeah. I think they are. I think they are. They're afraid of you know what I've noticed in life there's a certain brand of person that's self-sabotaging.
Mm-hmm.
Once they get next to fulfilling that deed, that ultimate task that they were supposed to do, they have to what's that the trans woman
Transgender.
Crossing ways.
Crossing ways. She put it very. She says, "Men tear down the treehouse after they're done. You know,
Yeah.
we build the treehouse, and then next thing to do is we tear it down because we need that build that treehouse again.
Yeah.
They self-sabotage in that.
Well, we also figure out new ways to perfect that treehouse. You know.
Yeah. Take the wood and build a bigger ass treehouse.
Yeah, we build a bigger ass treehouse, bigger or better infrastructure.
Yeah.
Right? You know, but that's what we do. We perfect things. You know.
Yeah, we perfect things. We do that.
Well,
HD Failure has a question here. I have a question. Will men try to replace men for a bit of pussy?
Yes.
Of course.
Some-
And the answer is
some
yes, HD.
Some men will replace. How many times have you been out at a bar with friends and your buddy jumps right the fuck over you or out of that group to get to a woman? I mean, it's an athletic act it's just so athletic. He just jumps right the fuck over the whole crowd to get to that woman. Yeah, they throw us under the bus. Them are simps and purple pillars and white knights that do that with no etiquette, no proper stance on life. They jump right over you to get to the woman. Yes, they do that.
Well, they're not the kind of friends you want.
No, there aren't no friends at all. With those kind of friends, who needs enemies?
it's bros before hoes, but for real. It's not just a saying, you know. So.
Right. Yeah, I love that saying when that first came out. When was that? Like late early 2000s. Everybody started bros before hoes, but did they know what that means?
Yeah. Yeah, it's about 15 years in the making, that line, you know.
Yeah.
There are all kinds, you know, but the colloquialisms keeps changing every other week, every 6 months. Some new expression comes onto the scene.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I have to go anyway. I'll speak to you guys later.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we're about ready to wrap this up and do a summation. Do you have anybody got any thoughts about wrapping what we learned today?
Bros before hoes. That's it.
Yeah, that's a good.
Pussy whipped.
Don't be pussy whipped. Don't be that simp.
Don't be a
There's a
simp.
lot of things to do here in Mgtow. We're just learning. We're a new program. I never imagined when I was 12 years old or going to finishing up school or when I was in the army or going to college that I was going to be a Mgtow.
Mhm.
I never put that in my mind. There's a lot of questions. We're a new program. We're still growing, but we have a lot of the answers. We do know where we're going, and we can always talk through this. We can come to these conclusions. We answered the question today. I think if you listen to this whole thing at the end, we answered the question. What's next? What do you do when you get that stardust? What do you call it again?
Stardust effect.
The stardust effect. Yeah, you know what to do. Dive deeper into Mgtow. Dive deeper into yourself. Bring something up from that. That you create something, or you just and it's not selfishness to sit down on your couch and just enjoy the day with your eyes halfway open, staring at the dog if you want to, or staring at a wall. That's not selfish. You earned it. You earned it, Mgtow, for being the great Mgtow you are. Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay. Hey, welcome. Thank you.
And with that,
Thanks.
I'll wrap this up and